Hi guys, and welcome to your daily tarot reading for Saturday the 4th of September 2021. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to use the Gilded Tarot again for today's reading. Let's see what's going on Saturday and what you can expect. So let's have a look at what the cards want you to know. So I'm just going to choose 3 cards and see what is happening. So the first card is the 10 of Swords. Okay. Then you have the Queen of Swords and Judgment. Okay, this is really important, okay? The 10 of Swords is kind of like rock bottom. It's negative thinking, it's negative circumstances, it's things that cause you anxiety and fear, and things that may even make you feel like things are too difficult, you can't go on. You see this person lying face down in the grass, these 10 swords are looming over him, and it's major pressure. It's feeling like something is going to come and get you, or it already has. The Queen of Swords then is someone who's able to work with the circumstances that already exist. She's able to take charge of them, and she's able to adapt them to make them work for her. So it's taking negative thinking and turning it into a positive. It's looking at your limitations and instead saying, let me focus on my strengths and what I can do. It's really important in the sense that you're able to take control of your own thoughts and you're able to work with them and remold them so that they suit you. Now, for me, this is an important day. I'm going to pay attention to this tomorrow a lot because I don't know about you guys, but I've been working on myself for a long time. I guess I need a lot of work, but I still really struggle sometimes with my thoughts, especially intrusive thinking. You know, things that just pop up out of the blue. I remember a few days ago, I was reading something and I went to the kitchen to get a cup of tea. And as I'm, very interesting, I know, but I went to get the cup of tea, and as I was walking to the kitchen, in my mind, I just got the thought that, Greg, you failed. Out of nowhere. You're a failure. Nothing you do has worked. Everything. And on a conscious level, I know that is not true. I really do. Because there are certain things in my life that I've overcome and certain things that I haven't. But altogether, to put such a negative judgment on someone, that really does put you in this face down position in the grass. And when I had that thought come in, I was like, what is going on? I meditate, I look in the mirror and do positive affirmations, and I still get these thoughts. I was really a little bit miffed with myself, to be honest. So this day gives us the opportunity to look at these negative thinking or negative thoughts. And swords has to do with perspective. It has to do with the way you process information, the way you talk, the way you express yourself. So if there's anything in that realm that you're not particularly happy with, so maybe if you have intrusive thinking like I do at times, or you gossip a lot, or you feel less than, so you feel you have to one-up people all the time and compete to feel good about yourself. With the Queen of Swords, we'll be able to get freedom from that and to recognize those thoughts, because the Queen of Swords is different from the King. The King initiates ideas and content and ideologies, and he spreads them across his kingdom, okay? The Queen of Swords is someone who looks at what's already being said and thought and perceived, and she's able to beautify those things and to turn them around and to work with to tidy up all the things that need tidying up. I think the Queen of Swords, the message I'm getting today is she's very much like the sign of Libra in astrology. It's about balance, thinking about the other people and trying to find some harmony and making things more beautiful. So you become aware of the thoughts that don't help you and make you feel like this. You're able to look at those and say, what would be a better way of operating? So instead of saying, oh, I'm such a failure, what else could I say to myself? I have overcome a lot of my obstacles, therefore I cannot be a failure. I'm not good enough. I have proven to myself that I'm good enough in certain areas of my life, education, sports, communication, whatever it is. And it's really the ability to reframe your thinking to replace old negative thoughts with positive new ones. And that then allows you to create new neural pathways in your mind I heard that somewhere, by the way. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know. But in my experience, that's true. If you look in the mirror, for instance, with the positive affirmations, and you say, I love you, thank you for taking such good care of me, which seems silly to do when you're first doing it, but it really does work. I started doing that many years ago, and before I did the positive affirmations, if I caught a glance of myself in the mirror out and about in town or something, I'd be like, oh. And then when I started to do the positive affirmations, I caught a glimpse of myself in a shop window or something, and I'd be like, you're right, I love you. So it's whether it's new neural pathways or not, it creates a new dialogue in your own mind, and it allows you to genuinely, because in terms of the reflection that I saw, nothing had changed, but my thoughts had changed. So the Queen of Swords kind of entered my mind and replaced the negative stuff with something more beautiful and positive, and that really did change my everyday experience, because I first noticed it 8 years ago or something like that, and I'm telling you about it now. So it made a big impression, it did work, and I'm a big advocate of positive thinking and replacing negatives, because it does make you feel better. And then finally, we've got the Judgment card, which is the 20th card in the Major Arcana. And the Judgment card is about awakening to your true self or your true purpose. Usually it's an angel kind of coming with this trumpet, and the trumpet is the divine call to action, the divine call to see yourself as you really are. So you get this prompt to say, hey, hang on, that thought isn't right. Let me look at it and turn it around. And usually here we've got some figures in a hazy kind of way behind or in between the trumpet. Usually you have the dead rising from their coffins with the Judgment card. It's pretty intense. And it means that you've been asleep as such because you've been going on your ego. You haven't been listening to your higher self, to the guidance, to the divine messages. And because of that, you're living a kind of life that doesn't maximize your true potential and that doesn't use your talent. But then when you listen to this fiery voice of your higher self or spirit or the universe or something in you that says, hey, this doesn't need to stay this way. You can do something else. You can change this around. You know, that's a miracle in itself. To realize that something you're thinking makes no sense or is just extreme in its negativity, and that you can do something about that. I mean, to me, that was like a major revelation. What was also a revelation, by the way, was that I can do things that I don't really like. Particularly things that are good for me. Like, for instance, exercise. I've never been a big exerciser. But I can exercise at times because my body feels better because of it. I'm sorry for the super banal examples, but it's really a miracle to be able to do something beyond yourself. It's kind of like having a bigger perspective rather than my likes and my dislikes. You're looking at your existence on a much bigger level. And the Judgment card, usually the trumpet is kind of shrouded with or in flames. It's fired up. And it means that this is really something that you can do on this day. But because you're learning how to do it really, really well on this day, you'll be able to use it in future too. And you'll be able to wake up to your true self, to your true purpose, rather than looking at the faulty thoughts you've picked up over the years and making yourself feel like this. You can leave that behind. Oh, it's interesting that he's lying face down in the grass, because that's kind of like a death. Sometimes with the Ten of Swords, they're stuck in his back. So the Judgment card is then about being reborn to your true self, and your true self is going to think much more positively and much more beautifully. So it's a great day to do a personal inventory, to say, what are the things where I really torture myself? You know, what are the things about me that I still can't accept? On a conscious or subconscious level. And what I mean by that, for example, on a conscious level, I'm fine with the fact that I'm gay. I've been gay for a long time now. Yeah, and that's the way it is, and I've accepted it. But on a subconscious level, sometimes I get the sense that I haven't quite accepted it, because I do catch myself thinking things like, oh, if this wasn't the case, if if I was straight, for example, then maybe life would be easier. And that's a really negative way of thinking, because you're assuming something is going to be better if you make a change, which in my case is kind of impossible to make, and you disempower yourself because you give your power away to this other version of yourself, which you think is better. So it creates a distance between your real self and your perceived self, and the more disconnected they are, the less they feed each other and the weaker you become as such. So with the Judgment card, you awaken to your real self. And I'm going to sit down tomorrow and I'm going to make an inventory of the things that still really just torture me. And I'm going to say, how can I replace these with something that's more affirming or empowering or better for me and my everyday experience? And how can I then implement that forever? Yeah, I'm encouraged. Totally. And you may think, well, Greg, can you change your whole way of thinking in one day? We're not talking about a whole way of thinking. We're talking about the negative, toxic things that we think about ourselves. And my answer is yes, you can change that in one day. You can become willing, you can hear something bigger that replaces these things, and you can make a commitment that I'm not going to torture myself anymore. I'm going to enjoy my life and make it beautiful. That's my job. Hooray! Okay, number-wise, 10, and the Queen is 1, so that's 11, and 20 is 31. 3 and 1 is 4. Wow, I love it. 4 is security and structure, and you can become more structured in your thinking and be consistent about the positives and the things that are helpful to you, and get rid of all the negative, unhelpful, extreme, poisonous stuff. So it's a new you. A new version of you emerges, a healthier, less tortured version of you emerges. And you're able to drop it. Drop the rock, as they say in recovery. So I hope you have an amazing day. Let me know in the comments if you're willing to share what kind of things you're able to let go of on this day, because we do learn from each other and we do help each other. So if you're able to really put something aside once and for all and you really get clarity on it, let us know in the comments, because I'd be really interested to read that. So I hope you have a lovely day. If you would like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. Scroll down a little bit on the front page and you'll get to a button that says book your reading. Click on that to order your reading with me. I use the tarot in my readings. I use astrology, numerology, and my intuition. And by looking at these divination systems, I'm really able to see your strengths and weaknesses, your life purpose, your way of thinking, your creative talent, what kind of disempowers you and what really feels overwhelming. Because some people are very good at solving certain types of problems and others they're not so good at. And we're all connected, and I think that's why we help and support one another, because we can help someone in an area where they're not so strong, and then they can help us in an area where we're not so strong. So if you want to look at any of that, or if you want to have a look at what's coming up in future, or when is the best time to travel or to start a business or to get married, Mercury retrograde, when to avoid that, what places in the world have a particular type of energy for you and where the best place is, anything at all. Also, if you want something like purely astrology or purely tarot, then let me know and I can use the one divination system. I don't have to use all of them. It's really up to you. It's your reading. It's whatever you find most helpful. So if you'd like to speak to me, then please do get in touch. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please. Hit subscribe and share the video online. Have an amazing day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.